Hello and welcome. My name is Sabrina Rising. Welcome to my channel. I am an intuitive guide, a self-mastery coach, and a facilitator of inner peace, and I have been holding space for many, many years. It is my honor to come to you tonight to talk to you about this very, very important topic that I get questions on all the time. Tonight, we're going to talk about how to unlock the power of your subconscious mind, how to use it so you can change your life forever. So obviously this is a very popular topic, talking about the subconscious mind and how to step into an alignment with what we truly desire. First of all, what happens in the subconscious and how do we get access to it? So this is usually the first question that comes when I work with people, either in my one-on-one containers or in my group classes. And the subconscious mind is essentially the aspect of our awareness that we don't have access to, that is really 90% of our waking life. Okay, that it's 90% of whatever it is that we're creating, that we're manifesting, comes from the subconscious experience. Okay, and the subconscious mind actually functions in theta wave brain state. Theta wave brain state can be likened to a state of hypnosis. So if you've ever heard about hypnosis, or if you've ever been to see someone for a hypnosis session, what a hypnosis facilitator will do is talk you into theta wave brain state so that you can relax and let go of your conscious filters, your conscious judgments, your conscious analysis and diagnosis of whatever is being suggested to you. You can relax and allow your subconscious mind to be programmed. And when your subconscious mind is programmed, it actually empowers you to create what you consciously desire in your everyday life. Now, in the work that I teach, I always begin with early childhood conditioning. In early childhood, between the ages of 0 to 6, human beings are in also theta wave brain state. So during this time in our lives, there's no filter present. We're not able to reject or deny or even filter some of the energy that we are absorbing, in our early childhood environment. We're absorbing all of it, and we're believing the things that our parents say to us, that our caregivers say to us, that happen in our environment. We're making associations with this environment, and we're believing this as truth. We are absorbing all of this as truth. And so during this time, the subconscious mind is what we call programmed, right? This is where we become imprinted with the felt experience of this childhood, whatever environment you were raised in. And this felt experience will then form beliefs about who you are, what you can have, what you cannot have, what your relationship is to your body, to money, to love, to sex, to relationships, to all of the things human, right? And so during this time, this is when the subconscious mind is basically set up. You're programmed for for patterns that are going to play out for the rest of your life. Okay, so why is it so important to change your subconscious mind? Because most of us are struggling in everyday waking life to achieve the goals that we truly deeply desire, right? We want something, but for whatever reason, we're not able to let ourselves have it. We can't fully receive it. We can't fully embody it, or we set out for something and we can't completely follow through. For example, this is a very common. Perhaps you set out for a fitness goal and you join a gym, and 6 to 8 weeks later you stop going, right? Or you choose a new diet and you want to follow this diet, and you're really excited and on board with this diet, and then for whatever reason the wheels fall off and you just can't follow through. And this happens over and over again. Every New Year's resolution, people make a bunch of promises about what they want to achieve in their lives, and it becomes so difficult to maintain those goals because you have a conscious desire to achieve something. Most of us are intelligent, aware, we know what we want, we have an idea of what we would love to have in our lives, but yet we have subconscious beliefs that tell us otherwise. If you have a subconscious belief that is attuned to the frequency of lack, of struggle, of scarcity, of grief, of pain, of fear, of betrayal, or whatever experience was most prevalent for you in your early childhood environment, then that's your set point. This is your emotional set point. And I call it emotional set point because it's the feelings that do the manifesting. Okay. So this emotional set point happens in early childhood. This is where we become conditioned to a certain felt experience that feels normal. This is our set point. And this set point never changes until we do the subconscious work to really take a good look at what do I believe on an unconscious level? How do I tune in to my emotional set point so that I can feel the pain of whatever needs I didn't get met in childhood, learn to alchemize that pain and move through it, work through it, and then create a new set point, right? So all we're doing is learning to shift our emotional set point. And from there, we can create new beliefs, and those beliefs will eventually manifest new evidence into our lives. So this is why looking at the subconscious mind is so important. In fact, if you're doing talk therapy, if you're doing conscious level work, it can be very helpful and beneficial, in terms of feeling supportive and getting the empathy that you need and feeling validated for your experience. But to create permanent change where you really want to shift and move out of old patterns and change your life forever, we have to do the subconscious work. If we're not doing the deep subconscious work, those patterns never really go away. We just either get better at addressing them, we get better at knowing what they are, we get better at intellectualizing them, understanding them, and explaining them, but we never shift them until we learn how to sit with our inner life and actually move through the subconscious mind and create new beliefs that will empower us to live the life that we've always wanted. So as I mentioned before, the easiest way to program the subconscious mind is to recreate theta wave brain state. So in childhood, we were in theta, right? We were in theta up until we were about 6 or 7 or 8. This is not an exact science, so it's loosely around that time, early childhood development period. And during this time, we're in theta. So it makes logical sense to recreate theta in order to be able to reprogram the subconscious. Pardon me. I'm gonna have some water. And for those of you that are watching, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. You can ask your questions while I'm chatting, and I'd be happy to address them directly. So we want to be able to recreate theta wave brain state. So how do we do that? So we can meditate to recreate theta wave brain state. This is very, very common. It's a beautiful exercise that we can do. It's a practice that we can engage in every day. However, it does take a certain level of focus and discipline and experience to access deep theta wave brain states. There are so many tools out there that we can also use. There are programs that we can listen to. There are things that we can, whether it's a guided meditation or affirmations or things that we can listen to that will help bring us into theta wave brain state. There are different exercises we can do as well. There's, counting and counting up and counting down, for example, that will bring us into a state that is easily more relaxed and calm and centered. Again, the idea with accessing theta is that we have disarmed any conscious judgments or filters or resistance to what's being offered. Okay, we're not aware of this, but for example, if you want, I'll give you an example I work with all the time. Let's say I want a conscious, loving relationship in my life. I want to create conscious, loving partnership with somebody. But deep down inside, and I believe that I want this. I know that I want this. I've been longing for this. And yet there's a deep subconscious belief that I'm unlovable, right? Or that I'll be abandoned. And so I can attract this person and be with this person. And at some point, as soon as I feel vulnerable enough, as soon as I get to that point of deep letting my guard down, the opportunity to let my guard down, what gets activated is my subconscious fear. Right? And the subconscious mind is full of them because so many of us are full of them from early childhood, right? So that deep subconscious fear gets activated, and now I am in sabotage mode, right? Now all of a sudden I have unconscious behaviors that take over where I start to reject and resist and push that love away, and I'm unable to receive it, even though it's what I said I wanted, but I'm not willing to receive it, right? And this happens in very, very subtle ways. It's extremely important to train ourselves to become aware of how the subconscious mind is expressing itself. And I'll go into that in a second. So we want to be able to recreate theta wave brain state. Like I said, there are things we can listen to. There are practices we can engage in. My favorite, most easiest way to get into theta wave brain state is to listen to to affirmations just before you drift off to sleep. Or it can be a guided meditation, or it can be a recorded subliminal program just before you drift off to sleep. Why before you drift off to sleep? Because we all naturally go into theta just before we go into delta at night as we're drifting off. And the subconscious mind never sleeps. right? It doesn't. So even if you fall asleep with the headphones in your ears, or even if you drift off in a nap during the day or whatever, it doesn't matter, because the subconscious mind is always absorbing what you're listening to. And what you're listening to needs to feel good. It needs to feel good. It needs to feel accessible. It needs to feel believable. There needs to be a resounding yes in your body when you're listening to affirmations. So this is a whole art into itself, right? So, and again, I really want to emphasize that just creating affirmations and listening to them at night before you drift off to sleep in and of itself is not enough. This is just one way that one structure we can put in place that will support us in our journey to shifting what's happening for us on a subconscious level. Because again, we want to have power in our lives, right? If we're not taking personal responsibility for what's happening for us on a subconscious level, then we are constantly at the effect of our subconscious beliefs. We're constantly at the effect of our felt experience, that set point that was created during early childhood conditioning. We're always at the effect of this. And so essentially, we don't really have power, right? We don't have power until we have self-mastery. And self-mastery involves really taking responsibility for the subconscious experience. And so let me just introduce this, and then we'll go back to programming your subconscious mind while you're in theta wave brain state. There's 3 ways we can observe what's happening for us on a subconscious level: what we're dreaming, what we're attracting, and what we're reacting to. Okay, so dream journals are so important. This is one way you can track your subconscious, especially if you are in a container with a guide, or if you're in a program, or if you're in a phase of healing or in a journey of personal development. If you're engaging in a daily practice and wanting to heal yourself and wanting to take control of what's happening for you on a subconscious level, then creating a dream journal is going to be so valuable to you. Now, it's common to say, well, I don't remember what my dreams are, or I don't think about my dreams. We all dream. If you set an intention at night before you go to bed to remember your dreams and put your journal beside you on your nightstand, you will start to remember little by little. Dreams will start to trickle in. It's also helpful to go to sleep without any mood altering substances. The more sober you are, the more clear and the more access you have to some of your deep subconscious experiences and the imagery that your subconscious mind will deliver to you, so that you can work out in your waking life some of those deeper rooted issues. So the dreaming is so important. It's important to do it, as I mentioned, when you're in a sober state, and you can really pay attention to what your dreams are trying to tell you. Okay, usually dreams are revealing the role that we play in our daily lives. So whenever it is that you're dreaming, you're usually all of the people in the dream, and they're representing some aspect of you that you need to work out. It can be something you're afraid of, or something that you're struggling with, or something that you long for, or that you want more of. It could be something you feel totally joyful about, right? So one of the most powerful ways is to observe your dreaming life. So start creating a dream journal and start interpreting what your dreams are, and connecting the dots, making those connections to see how those apply to your everyday life and whatever it is you're working through. The second point I mentioned in terms of observing what's happening for us on a subconscious level is to look at what you're attracting. Right? It's very simple. If you want to see what's in your subconscious, you want to see what your beliefs are truly, look at how you're living. Look at your bank account, look at your relationships, look at the state of your life, the state of your health. All these things are reflections of where you're at subconsciously. Okay, so if there's an element of struggle, if there's something that you are not completely fulfilled with, if there's an element of fear or pain or so on, that's what's living in your subconscious mind, right? So it's time to address it. It's time to really get honest with ourselves and say, what is it that I would love to change, and what is my resistance to changing it? So most human beings are pretty clear when we come to personal development what we want to change. We have an idea of what we would like to improve, but we're not aware of what our resistance is to it. And this can be very eye-opening when you do inner work, when you sit with a guide, when you sit in a container. I know this from sitting in sessions with my clients. It's like, but I want this, but I didn't realize I wasn't letting myself have it, right? And this is part of the conditioning process, as I mentioned in early childhood, is to set up beliefs about the way life is. And those beliefs on some level keep you safe, right? They keep you from getting hurt. They keep you from re-experiencing the pain of your childhood. And as much as we want to avoid that, the subconscious mind will always attract situations, experiences, and relationships that will trigger that very same pain so that you can work through it. Right? Because, and if you notice, and oftentimes I get this, why am I in the same relationship over and over again? Why do I keep attracting the same struggles or the same patterns at work or the same scenarios? It's because there is a subconscious belief that this is how it is for you. And there is a resistance to changing it. The resistance, it's not that you don't want to change it, is that there is a block that says this isn't possible for me, that you don't have access to because it's subconscious. Okay, so look at what it is that you're attracting, and this is very practical. You can make a list. You can watch this video and rewatch this video and just take a piece of paper and make a list of all the things that you're attracting into your life, and saying, okay, well, my relationship is here, my health is here, my financial life is on this level. Wherever it is, get really honest with yourself, and then make some intentions on how you choose to improve, what you want to improve, because those intentions are going to go right into your subconscious once you start listening to recordings while you're in theta wave brain state, just before you drift off to sleep, should you choose to use this method, which has been very successful for me over the course of my healing journey, and successful for thousands of clients that I've helped over the years. So the third aspect that I mentioned about the subconscious mind is looking at what your reactions. Okay, so when something is triggering you, all of a sudden we feel triggered, or we feel upset, nervous, angry, sad, whatever. We're in a reactive state. That's because whatever is happening is pointing to something that lives in my subconscious, right? If I wasn't holding on to fear, if I wasn't holding on to pain, if I wasn't holding on to anger, if I wasn't holding on to whatever reaction is bubbling up to the surface, I wouldn't be triggered, right? And so usually we're not all, like I always say in my programs, we're not all of a sudden angry. Usually something will come along to trigger a wound that's been there our whole lives, right? And so this is such important information, and what a beautiful context for living, because now we're empowered with the ability to know going forward throughout our lives that when something happens that doesn't feel good, it's actually bringing my awareness to me not feeling well, right, in some area of my life that I haven't healed, right? It's some part of me that needs more love, that needs more attention, that needs more grace, that needs further examination, so that I can clear this anger or this resentment or this fear or whatever emotion got triggered in that moment. Okay, so your reactions are, a telltale sign of what's happening for you on a subconscious level. What are some of the emotions that you're holding on to that need to be dealt with directly and powerfully with love and with empathy? Okay, and so this is really important. These are the three ways that we can really examine what's happening for us on a subconscious level: dreams, attractions, and reactions. Okay, so now that we have this information, and hopefully this is empowering you to start to make a dream journal, to start to make some notes, and to start to really see what some of your more common reactions are. How do we shift, right? How do we unlock the power of our subconscious mind? How do we really dive in and be able to shift some of those beliefs so that we can have permanent change? As I mentioned, we begin to meditate. So we start with a meditation practice, and this can be very gentle. You can start with 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a long thing. Simple breathing practice. We want to create stillness. Again, the access to the subconscious mind is all about disarming the conscious defense mechanisms that we've put in place to protect us, to keep us feel safe, and to maintain our identity. Okay, so we want to let go of our identity. We want to be able to create a new identity. So in order to do that, we have to be willing to relax and find stillness. And in those moments of stillness, we're going to create these very gentle suggestions It can be an affirmation or an intention, something that you want to bring into evidence, whatever it is that feels good to you. Now, there's a fair amount of wordsmithing that goes into creating intentions and affirmations, because the phrases that you choose, it's less about the words and it's more about the feelings that they conjure up, right? So we want to listen to a phrase that feels good, that feels reliable, that feels accessible, that feels like something that you can fully embody. It feels, fun to say. You're looking forward to saying it. It feels believable to you. So this is so, so, so important. We can't trick ourselves into living into a reality or embodying a reality that is just completely out of integrity for us, right? So, often people will come to me and say, how do I manifest more money? Or how do I manifest more of this? And you can't go from a very low frequency belief system in a particular area to all of a sudden massive abundance, right? Or massive love or incredible success, right? We have to get there in stages, just the same way a child will go through the developmental stages of maturing into an adult. We have to give our subconscious mind some time to get through, some of the conscious mechanisms, defense mechanisms that we've established in order to really embody something. That this doesn't have to take long, but it's not necessarily overnight. You can actually rewire your brain in as little as a month, depending on your practice, your consistency, your discipline, your commitment, and your willingness to believe that your life can be different. This willingness is the key that opens every door to higher states of consciousness. In my opinion, after so many years of facilitating this work, for healing my own limiting beliefs and facilitating the recovery of so many people, if you believe it's possible, it's possible. It's that simple. If you believe that you can have something, that you can create something, that you can embody something, that you can be worthy of something, that you can receive something, and that it can last in your life, that it won't be taken from you, that you can actually shift, change your stars and live a completely different trajectory, it's possible for you. So, and if you believe that, this is how your life is and you're stuck and it's never going to change, or you're going to die from this, or you're going to hurt, whatever the destructive thought is, if whatever you give power to is going to manifest. Okay. So energy goes where energy flows where attention goes, as they say. And this cannot be more true. So it's really important that when you're creating affirmations or intentions, you can listen, like I said earlier, you can listen to guided practices or other recordings and guided meditations and so on, but it's super empowering, and I find much more effective when we are listening to intentions and affirmations in the sound of our own voice. We want to listen to those affirmations in the sound of our own voice and in a place of high frequency, joy, love, excitement. Yes, your body has to feel like it's a resounding yes when you're listening to these affirmations, so that they're fully being absorbed on a subconscious level. And if you do this every night, I always tell my clients, if you do it every night for at least 3 weeks, you will see a shift in the way that you wake up, how you feel when you get up in the morning, what's possible for you throughout the day. All of a sudden, we've opened up the conscious, because we've been able to penetrate the subconscious, and we've sort of disarmed the conscious defense mechanisms. Now in our waking life, we're a little less defensive, or a little less limited in our view of what's possible. We're a little more open to, creative flow and being more optimistic about life. It's a very subtle thing that happens on a subconscious level, but it has powerful results in our waking life. So my recommendation is get yourself an app, or if you're handy with recording equipment, you can record yourself in the sound of your own voice with some very empowering affirmations, things that allow you to embody the energy. Again, don't create intentions that are in the future. They have to be I am or I have. They have to be in the here and now. So you want to be able to make statements that allow you to either own something in this current moment, or be willing to receive the embodiment of it. So if you're on the way to something, again, it's always important to meet yourself where you are. So if you're for example, if you're severely in debt and you want to manifest abundance, we can't jump from being severely in debt and saying, I'm fully abundant. We want to be able to say, okay, I'm willing to feel financial peace, right? I'm willing to feel a state of abundance. I'm willing to believe I can be abundant. So you see how gently I'm using words to open up the doorway, to open up the cracks in my conscious defense mechanism, which says, I'm always in debt, or I'm somebody who struggles, or I can't make ends meet, or whatever the language is you've developed around your belief system. Okay, and we all have it, and depending on what area you're struggling with. So you want to be able to slowly disarm the conscious mind and create that little opening, and that little opening will create a boost in frequency. A little bit of energy will open up, and all of a sudden you'll start to feel the evidence of it. You'll start to see the evidence of it. Perhaps there's a little more money this month, or there's a bill that gets paid that you weren't able to pay before, or there's some kind of improvement. As soon as there's a little bit of evidence, now we've created momentum. Right? We've created energetic momentum, and that momentum gets amplified through appreciation, enthusiasm, joy, all those high vibing feelings that we feel when something starts to work in our favor. Okay. So it's really important to meet yourself where you are when you're trying to unlock the power of your subconscious mind. What you're doing is opening up the gateways and allowing infinite flow, infinite source consciousness energy to move through you, to express itself through you. All we're doing is really disarming our conscious defense mechanisms that we've built, that have been conditioned in us over time, through our caregivers. We learned fear, we learned limitations, we learned lack, we learned scarcity. And we struggle with that in our everyday lives, especially when we want more and we long for more and we wish to have more in our lives, and we're just not able to get there. It's because the subconscious mind is kind of anchoring us down. It's keeping us in the past, and it's keeping us stuck in these very painful, spaces. As I mentioned earlier, our set point from childhood. And so we want to be able to really disarm this and have access to what's already ours. You don't become abundant. You are abundant. You're just learning to let yourself be abundant, right? We don't become more peaceful or become more loving. We're just learning to allow that energy to move through us by breaking down our defenses and using the power of our subconscious mind. As I mentioned, there's, the meditation part allows for for us to set the stage on a subconscious level. And this is so important, because this brings us into alignment with what we consciously desire in our waking lives. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are other things that we can do to bring ourselves into alignment. When you're looking at your reactions, we have to take personal responsibility for regulating our nervous system so we can bring ourselves back to center, right? So when you're in a reactive state, when we train ourselves to work through our reactions, during that time, we're actually training our subconscious mind to react in a different way. Okay, so it's the subconscious training is so important, but so is the work that we do in our waking life on a conscious level. So taking responsibility for our reactions whenever you're triggered, doing some deep diaphragmatic breathing, putting your hand on your heart, acknowledging that your need for empathy or love or safety or whatever it is you need in that moment, forgiving yourself, forgiving others. You can say positive affirmations to yourself, even in your conscious life, ones that are accessible to you, like I'm safe and loved right here, right now. All is well right here, right now. We want to be able to ground ourselves in those moments of reaction. And that too has an impact on our subconscious mind. Okay, so it's very important that we do things that are responsible for ourselves on a physical level, in our conscious state, so that we can help this process along. So between listening to recordings when we're in theta wave brain state and dealing with our reactions when we're in our waking life, these two access points allow us to really empower us to really shift what's happening for us on a subconscious level. And of course, there's always the dream. So you can also set intentions for what you want to dream. Once you start to record your dreams and you start to build a relationship with your subconscious mind by creating this dream journal, you can set intentions for what you'd like answers to, or what you'd like more information about, or what you'd like to dive into, or what you'd like to have revealed to you. So these are practices that we can do to really empower us to make peace with what's happening for us on a subconscious level. And again, take personal responsibility for our subconscious mind, so that 90% of the time, when we're not consciously making an effort or thinking or intentionally harnessing our energy, which is, such a beautiful practice that I teach in my programs. But when I'm not super aware of what's happening, I can relax and trust that my subconscious mind is in alignment with what I consciously desire, and it's getting me there, right? And it's allowing me to make the decisions and take the actions and creating the feelings that I need to stay in order to manifest the life that I love. So thank you so much for watching. If you're with me and you want to ask some questions, I'd be happy to answer them now. Otherwise, feel free to leave your comments and questions at the bottom of this video. I hope this was helpful. Please also know that I will be hosting a 6-week self-mastery immersion program at the end of this month. So the link to register for that will be at the bottom of this video. And if you've enjoyed watching and you tune in frequently, please don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you soon.